Hey everyone, Mary Pat here, and today I'm going to be bringing you a new fall card using coordinations and Petaloo flowers. So I'm starting with the core basics today, and I'm using their craft paper and then their 110-pound white smooth cardstock. I'm totally addicted to these two. I just love craft, so I was so excited. And then here are the Petaloo flowers, just perfect for fall with the orange and the yellow and the cream, and they just look so awesome next to that craft paper. And then for some stamps, I've got these Simon Says stamps, and I'm going to be using the pumpkins and then the sentiment of thanks on that. And so what I have first is I have my card base, which is your typical A2 card, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then I cut one slightly smaller that is 4 by 5 1/4, and that will fit right on top of that. And then so I'm going to be working with this smaller size, and then I also cut of the 110-pound, the same size, so that it fits on the bottom. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tear this cardstock, and I'm going to tear it to me. Now this, the core basic line is a little bit different from the sandable cardstock, where this has like the white core right there, and it goes all the way through. And so I just wanted an uneven look. I didn't want something straight, and so I tore it, and it looks really great. So now I have my stamp, and I have a large pumpkin, and I'm going to stamp that in the center of
Here, Michael, let me try and help you.
this, and kind of have that stamped directly on the sheet, and then I'm going to be layering around it. So I am inking that up using my Memento ink because I'm going to be using my Spectrum Noir markers later on. And so I'm just going to put that right in the center. And that is good. And then I am going to, again, if you've watched my videos, you know I save every little piece of cardstock. So I'm going to stamp my little pumpkin 2 times on here, and I'll be able to cut that out. And so then I'm going to be using my Spectrum Noir, and I'm going to be using my GB markers, and so I'm going to be using the GB 3, 4, and then the OR1. Now these I'm going to be cutting out right on the line, so I'm not being exact, and I'm just using the chisel nib and kind of going across and doing a quick fill on that. And then I'm going in with my GB, or my OR1, and just kind of giving that some definition with my markers there. And I'm sorry, I'm not using the GB4. It's just GB3 and the OR1. And that looks pretty good. And now I am going to go in with just a little darker of a color and go with that GB7 and just kind of give it on those lines just a little extra bit of shading going in there just on the bottom, and just going with the natural lines of the stamp. And again, I'm just kind of flicking a little bit of color, very light, putting that on there. I like how that looks. So now I'm going to do the exact same with my pumpkin that I stamped on the cardstock. Now, because this is going to be part of the card, I am not using the chisel nib like I did before, and I'm being very careful, staying in the lines, etc. So I've colored that in, and with my GB3, and now I'm going in with my OR1, and again I'm just adding a little bit darker of the orange just on the natural lines of that pumpkin. And again, just trying to be careful to stay in the lines and have that there. Now I'm just adding a little bit of the GB7, just a little bit darker, kind of moving that off. Okay, that looks really good. Now for my stem, I'm going to go with GB8 and GB9 for my pumpkin stems. And I'm just coloring those in with the lightest color first. And then just adding a touch of the darker color on the side. And just to give it a touch of shading. And now again, doing the same on the two smaller pumpkins. And going with my lightest color and then adding just a pinch of the darkest. I want to add just a little bit more on there. And that looks really good. So now I need to cut out my little pumpkins. So I'm going to fussy cut those right on the line. And then I'm just going in, I always like to do this when I cut right on the line. I go with my Spectrum Noir black marker and I just go around the edges. And that just kind of adds in that dark line again. Now I'm getting out my distressed ink, the antique linen, and I want to change the bright white and kind of dull it down just a little bit to kind of match with the fall theme and kind of get it to be this antique look. So I'm just taking my sponge and I'm just going all around and just giving it a nice coat of ink. And there it looks, and it just looks perfect with the craft background on that. So now with the pumpkins that I cut out, I'm going to be placing them right there next to it. And then I want to add my Petaloo flowers. And I've got the beautiful orange, yellow, and the cream color that almost matches the antique linen that I just put on there. So just kind of rearranging them. I do want to do a little bit of stamping, and I've got the Stampin' Up ink, and I'm just going to put a little bit of the little vine there, and that green matches perfectly into the flowers leaves from the Petaloo. And so I'm just kind of placing these there. Now the small pumpkins I'm going to be placing with a foam square underneath it just to give it a little dimension, raise it up just a little bit, and again just kind of placing them, see where I want that curlicue, and then attaching the foam dot onto that. Now that I have that done, now it is time to go in and decide which I want to just add a little bit of shading in, and I've got my Spectrum Noir, and I'm just going to go underneath there with, this is EB2, and I just want to kind of go in and draw a little bit down there just as if it was a shadow on there, and you can kind of see, and I'm just kind of filling in there, and that looks good. So now it's time to attach the flowers. I'm going to put one on each side. I was going to go with the yellow, but they kind of blend in with the pumpkins too much. So I want to go in with the darkest, that gorgeous dark orange, and put one on each side of that pumpkin. And so I'm going to use my glossy accents, and I'm just going to put a little dab on each one of those, and it will look great. So now I need to put down the leaves, and so I'm attaching one leaf on each one of those, and that looks good. So now it's time to attach this part onto my base, and I just used my Xyron and gave it a nice layer of adhesive, and I wanted to stamp directly on there my sentiment thanks, and again that came from the Simon Says Stamp part, the stamp set. So I have my I have a brown ink, and I'm just going to stamp that there. So it looks great there. I just want to add just a little bit of shine and a little bit of mist. So I'm taking my mist there, and I'm just taking it, dipping it in, and then just kind of flicking it on the paper there. And this is a gold, and it kind of has like a gold shimmer to kind of match the colors of the pumpkin. And then this is Studio Calico, and that is pumpkin spice. and it's a little deeper, not quite a brown, but against these colors it looks kind of brownish. So now I want to add 2 more flowers, and I'm going to go in and add a yellow one and then one of the cream ones. And I'm just going to add them in the left-hand side, kind of showing that, and then I'm going to put in 2 little leaves and tack those down. And that looks really good. Now what I need to do is I need to attach this to my card base, and I'm going to use some foam tape, and again just to give it a little bit of dimension, and then I'm going to place it right on there. And so thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this awesome card with coordinations and Petaloo flowers and Xyron. Thanks so much. Bye.